Giving you insights on what's happening in Southwest Florida and what our newsroom is working on is what we do here. In this week's show, we're taking it a step further. We're going to lift the veil and take you behind the scenes of our behind the headlines stories. Our first stop is to go into the kitchens of some of the area's top restaurants to see what goes on behind the scenes. Independently owned and operated, they are unchained.
I think independent restaurants like myself love what they do, and we listen to the customers.
Then we love to look from afar, but our team gets you safely up close. In Gator Country, we share a months in the making multimedia project, plus an amazing story from our features team. Just in time for Halloween, they go behind the scenes of a creepy cornfield. I'm Amy Osher. We'll also hear the latest scoops and tips from our reporting staff. I'm Amy Osher. Thanks for joining us. Being one of a kind is the recipe for success, as many of our local restaurants have found. Setting their own course isn't the easiest route, but it's the only way if you're going to be a franchise-free original. Tiny, tucked away, and tasteful, some of the area's finest restaurants can be hard to find. They don't have splashy signs or catchy commercials.
My name is Alexander Bernard, and my wife and I own Alexander's Restaurant.
More than 40 indie eateries make up a group called the Naples Originals.
It came from a desire to support the locally owned independent restaurants. At the time, there were a lot of the chains moving into Naples, and we wanted to level the playing field.
Promoting local chef-driven kitchens for a decade now, they cater to people desiring a homemade rather than out-of-box experience.
Independent restaurants like myself love what they do, and we listen to the customers.
We were invited behind the scenes. This is Alexander's kitchen, where every last detail is hands-on. He was prepping one of his signature dishes.
It's called chicken farci. It's like roasting a half chicken, but instead of having just a half chicken, we stuff the leg with chicken, mousse, with apples and pecans and herbs, and then we'll go ahead and take see the leg? I took the bone out, and we season it with salt, pepper, and then I just get your hands in there, and I just stuff it right in there.
Doused in wine, topped with herbs, it's roasted in the oven.
When you came in here to order chicken, I cook the breast to order and serve it with the sliced leg.
At her French-flavored Chez Boet Bistro, Chef Lisa is well acquainted with painstaking preps and the art of slow cooking.
So it's sort of, I call it grandmother's cooking. The stews, the simply prepared dishes, not complicated from a standpoint of putting it together, but things that take a lot of time and a lot of care to create.
Today she was making poached pear tarts.
Pastry has so many steps, including making the tart dough from scratch, making the almond cream from scratch, poaching the fresh pears with vanilla bean, and so all of that you have to make in advance.
The hours of preparation greatly outnumber the time it takes to devour a meal, but every morning chefs start again from scratch.
I don't have a lot of refrigeration space, so we get deliveries on a daily basis. We have to. We just don't have room to store. And so ditto for our preparation.
Most of the originals boast a full following. You'll rarely see an open table when the kitchen's cooking.
It's really a great feeling once the restaurant's full and the kitchen's full, and we have 18 waiters here in the season, believe it or not. It's a lot, and 5 cooks. It's really exciting when everything's clicking.
While we're sharing about restaurants, our partners at the News Press routinely go behind the scenes of local eateries and get the chefs to share their secret sauce. In this next story, you'll see their hot dish is an overnight success.
brisket it's a tough piece of meat to cook. It's probably one of the toughest meats as far as barbecuing goes because of the process it takes. As far as the cooking process, the length of time it takes. All right. These are my briskets right here. Like I said, I mean, you can tell the juices in there and stuff like that. And I was referring to earlier the bark. I love a brisket with a good bark on there. You still pressing down, you still got some juices flowing through there and stuff. That's when you got a good brisket right there. But it's a trial and error. It's a trial and error. But I've cooked enough of them over the years to where, I pretty much cook them blindfolded and they come out pretty good.
It was an early wake-up call for some of our top managers this week as the Naples Daily News took part in a panel discussion at the Chamber's Wake Up Naples breakfast. The topic, no surprise, the changing media landscape. Here's a behind-the-scenes look. I had the opportunity to moderate a Q&A session in front of more than 100 members of the Naples Chamber of Commerce. Our Daily News publisher and Florida Southwest Regional President of Gannett, Bill Barker, explained how the news is evolving with quicker and more dynamic systems, including our website, app, and social media. Members wanted to know how we make our editorial decisions and vet local candidates for endorsement, how to get their stories on the news, and how to partner in marketing and advertising their businesses. We covered all that before 9 a.m. When we come back, Donald Trump campaigned here and so did Bill Clinton. Why? Because Florida counts. We'll have insights on the presidential race from a USA Today Washington correspondent.
My name is Steve Unser, and cabinetry is my specialty. I have been creating custom designed cabinetry for 20 years in Southwest Florida, and now I am celebrating the grand opening of our new Naples showroom. Steve Unser Cabinetry will help you design your kitchen, bath, or home office with stunning results, offering the best quality of cabinets with a wide variety of design options and pricing to fit any budget. If your kitchen isn't becoming to you, you should be coming to us. Now, 2 locations to serve you.
Hiring the right moving company is important. Best Moving and Storage is a family-owned and operated business serving Southwest Florida for over 22 years. From our free in-home estimate until the last piece of furniture is in your new place or stored in our climate-controlled warehouse, we treat you like family. Best Moving and Storage is fully licensed and insured, with all of our employees being certified drivers and packers. When it comes to protecting your treasured belongings, choose a company that's experienced and trustworthy. Call Best Moving and Storage today at 239-592-6565.
With only a few weeks to go in one of the most hotly contested presidential elections, many believe Florida holds the key to victory. This past week, former President Bill Clinton made a stop in Fort Myers to campaign for his wife Hillary and promote voter registration, calling this the most important election of our lifetime. In September, Republican nominee Donald Trump packed Germain Arena and fired up the crowd. Both presidential candidates are chalking up frequent flyer miles visiting the Sunshine State. With a spotlight on Florida, major media outlets are tracking voter preferences and what the candidates need to do to pull off a win here. You may recognize the name Ledge King from his byline as our Washington correspondent. He's been crisscrossing the state for the USA Today network and recently shared his insights with me.
This is the state that matters for the presidency and for the Senate as well, but especially for the presidency. And I wanted to talk to voters and talk to people on the ground on how the campaigns are going and what's motivating people in this race.
And what's changed? Because a few years back when the late Tim Russert wrote Florida, 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 obviously we had a very important role in the outcome of that election. Have things changed? Is it more important this year, less important?
Well, it depends how you say it. I mean, Ohio likes to think that they're the state that matters because they've picked every president for the last 4 decades. But in this way, Florida is absolutely important. Donald Trump probably cannot win the presidency without winning the state. So much of the efforts are being made here in Florida, and this will ultimately decide who the president is.
And what does he need to do? Is it an uphill battle for him? Does he have a lot of work to do yet?
Well, polls have it very close, and it probably will remain close for most of the year, most of the election season. But yes, he does have an uphill battle. I mean, Florida is a state with obviously a large Hispanic population, and he's had trouble with that particular demographic. A lot of suburban women are not exactly flocking to his campaign, but he's doing well among white men. And this election is almost perhaps more so about who people don't want than who people want.
That's
and
true.
Hillary,
You hear that a lot.
Hillary has a lot of baggage herself. So it's a question of who can get out the vote and in what areas of the state.
Now, who do you consider at this point maybe movable? Because we hear a lot about the people that you're going to support, you're going to support. So there must be some leeway in there that you're hoping to get some people to your side.
Well, that's absolutely right. I think there are very, very few undecideds, but one group I think that is still thinking about who they're going to vote for are millennials. A lot of them were Bernie supporters, but they're having some trouble pivoting to Hillary. Many will, but I've talked to people who are going to vote for Gary Johnson, for example, because they don't think that Hillary embodies the values that Bernie did. And a few will go to Trump, blue-collar Democrats, Reagan Democrats as they were sometimes called. So there is the possibility for Trump to pick up these people.
Now, looking at both candidates, for Hillary to get some of those millennials that Bernie had over to her side, I know they're bringing Al Gore out now. Do you think that having these surrogates speak on her behalf will swing that, or are they still looking for themselves and deciding who or what they like better?
I think that's very much to be determined. I'm not sure Al Gore will help. Bernie will help. Bernie Sanders may help. Elizabeth Warren may help. But a lot of this may be that they either sit this out or they go into the voting booth at the very last second and decide, well, who do I want least? Who do I not want to be president? And then they decide.
I think you're spot on with that, because I hear that a lot as well. So if we look at Donald Trump and what he needs to do, I know you said earlier that he needs to outperform some of the previous Republican nominees in order to really have a shot at Florida. What does that mean?
Well, for example, in Hispanics, George W. Bush in 2004 won 55% of Florida Hispanics. Obviously, Cuban population makes Florida a unique state when it comes to Hispanics. Mitt Romney nearly won Florida, and he got 40% of the Hispanic votes. Donald Trump may be lucky to get 30, and I've seen it in the low teens. So he's got to find other places to make up for that deficit. White men is one obvious area. Grabbing millennials where they can is another area, and hitting parts of the state that have not perhaps performed well economically, that are still in a bit of a economic lag. Those are places where Donald Trump's message of remaking or rebuilding America could really have an effect.
While politics is getting a lot of headlines these days, it's not the only thing our reporters are following. Here's a look at what's happening on the beat. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Alex Glorioso, the political reporter here at the Naples Daily News. Since the Washington Post published a video recently that was from 2005 and captured Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump describing how he likes to grope women, kiss women, and he used very crude language in describing the methods by which he does those things with women, Senator Marco Rubio has now announced that he will not be campaigning with the presidential nominee for the rest of the campaign. I've recently come out with a story that looks into this further and how unusual this phenomenon is. So make sure to look out for it on naplesnews.com. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Ashley Collins. I'm a reporter with the Collier Citizen. This past week, I worked on a story about a 10-year-old boy who's raising school supplies for foster children. He's from Golden Gate Estates, and he's been doing this for about a year, and he actually got involved with it with the Friends of Foster Children Forever to try to get these school supplies to the hands of foster children. And he's also collecting toys for the holiday season, and he keeps all these school supplies and toys in his bedroom until he has enough to give to Friends of Foster, which is pretty neat. He said that his mission in life, he's only 10 years old, but his mission in life is to see foster kids smile and just make their day. For more on this story, check out naplesnews.com.
Hi, my name is Brett Murphy. I'm the courts reporter for the Naples Daily News. This week we covered a big turning point in the Mark Sievers trial. It looks like his law team is trying to get the death penalty taken off the table. Also have him declared indigent, which would mean that the public defender's office would come in and pay for the rest of his court costs. A public defender would also join his legal team, but his original lawyers would stay on as well because he already paid them. And to have the death penalty taken off the table would obviously be a big pivot in the case, because we know that the prosecution is trying to get this tried as a Capital One murder. So if that happens, it'll be a big deal. The judge said he's going to reserve his ruling, so we don't know yet how he'll decide. He didn't seem to indicate either way, but we'll see.
There's a saying that if a puddle is big enough to hold a gator, it probably does. Once on the endangered species list, the alligator population swelled to the point that state officials launched a permitted gator hunt to thin the number of reptiles. That topic is the jumping off point for a Daily News multimedia report. Here's reporter Patrick Riley and photojournalist Dorothy Edwards, who went behind the scenes in Gator Country.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so it kind of started as an idea from the visual aspect of it, where we wanted to go on an alligator hunt and see what it looked like and what it meant, and we brought on Patrick to write about it.
Yeah, I think the idea was that alligators in Florida are so synonymous, and we wanted to kind of look at different parts of the industry, and we came up with the idea of splitting it into 3 parts, looking at the hunt first, looking at the processing, what happens to the alligator afterwards, and then also the tourism aspect of it.
So when we went out on the hunt, I had no idea what to expect, and it's pitch black. You go at night and you're in this tiny, tiny boat, and alligators are everywhere. So they shine a light out and you see the alligator eyes pop up over the water, and it's amazing. The stars are really bright, and then when they creep up on an alligator, they shoot at it, reel it in, kill it, and it's on the boat, and it's on this tiny boat. They're right there with you, next to you. It's kind of crazy.
One over there or one over there, whichever way you want to go.
They've been doing the public hunt since the late 80s, and it actually brings in a lot of money, not just for private businesses who process the alligators or who do tourism, but also for the state, which then gets used to manage the wildlife again. So it kind of is like a circular sort of approach, and yeah, it's a growing industry. It's especially with TV shows and things like that. It's becoming more popular.
Still a little early, but I guess we'll start moving, huh?
I think in terms of just putting it in perspective a little bit, there's estimated to be about 1.3 million alligators in Florida currently, and last year during the public hunt, which runs about 2.5 months, they killed 16,700 alligators. So it's just a very small fraction, at least in the public hunt. And then obviously you have things like nuisance trappers too, who deal with other alligators. But there's a very solid population, I would say, right now.
All right, guys, keep your eyes open in here. There's usually a few gators hanging out right here in this area. I see one already.
Go to naplesnews.com and you will have a whole package to look at the hunt and the processing and the tourism aspect of it, with lots of pictures and video and great storytelling.
Our last stop in the newsroom is our weekly commentary. Here's Alan Bartlett.
Thanks, Amy. Media bias has been a subject we've heard a lot about lately, mainly because of what's going on in the presidential election. I spent more than 38 years as a reporter and editor in newsrooms in Florida, with most of those years in Fort Myers and Naples. A little more than 2 years ago, I took over at the Naples Daily News as editorial page editor. When I was on the news side, the challenge was to keep bias out of news stories. Some in the news business may tell you that they're not biased. Even during my decades of working on the news side, I'd never say that. Everyone is influenced by their experiences in life, and that carries with it the inherent danger of having a bias from what we've learned. As a news editor, it was important to be on the lookout for it in stories, but unless you hire robots, you can never eliminate it. I'm still regularly surprised by people who don't seem to understand the distinct separation that exists between the newsroom and the editorial pages. Recently, I've even had to explain that separation to people who have run for public office. Sure, we at the Daily News all work in the same building, but our roles are independent of one another. As our editorial writer, I've had people complain that what I wrote was biased. Well, editorials are supposed to have a point of view, not play everything down the middle. Typically, when I hear someone grousing about media bias in something they've read or heard on TV, my first question is about the inherent biases of the person who is complaining. I've had readers tell me we should not believe anything in the New York Times or on CNN. I've had people tell me not to rely on anything reported by Fox or on Breitbart. It's not hard to figure out which side of the aisle those folks are on, now is it? But that's just my opinion, and after 40 years in journalism, naturally, I'm biased. That's what I'm thinking. Joining the conversation at naplesnews.com.
Still to come, think bouncing baby boy or girl. It's a new way to spend time with your tot. A dance class where moms wear their babies. That's ahead and behind the headlines.
Behr's 71st anniversary sale. Shop now and get this beautiful Bernhard bedroom exclusively at Behr's for half off. Create the perfect island escape with this tropical-inspired sofa for just $17.97. Don't miss half off on all Natuzzi. Luxurious genuine leather sofas too. You can even customize your own design with this oh so comfortable sofa for just $7.97. We're celebrating and so should you. Behr's 71st anniversary sale.
Our Hidden Gems team is always looking for unique things to do or see. This week, they ventured far off the beaten path to a haunted cornfield, taking a tiny camera on an amazing adventure.
Hi, I'm Tad Mast with the Naples Daily News.
And I'm Ashley Collins.
For our next Hidden Gems, we are here at Farmer Mike's U-Pick, and we are about to go through his famous corn maze.
Yeah, it should be fun. Hopefully we don't get lost. Let's go!
All right, we're cheating a little bit because
but it's all
we
right.
really want to go up there. It'll give a nice overview of the entire area. Okay, this is supposedly right in the middle of everything right here. Oh man, this place is big. How we made it to the middle is beyond me. Hey, there's a map right there.
Okay.
We started where that tractor is.
It's a green route.
And I don't know how we got where we are. We went somewhere that way for a while. And yeah, here we are. We're gonna keep going this way, I think. We stumble across a snake. You know, we're in a cornfield, so that makes sense. We are just gonna let him be because I don't know snakes, but yeah, I'm sure he's a friendly guy.
Yeah!
Guys, we finished it.
We finished! Now let's get out of here.
Here's our ride home.
This story is just too cute to pass up. A local dance class jumping on a new trend called baby wearing ballet. The Rob and Don Dance Academy in Cape Coral recently jumped on the baby-wearing ballet trend with moms outfitted in dance gear and babies securely strapped to her chest in a carrier. It's a trendy new way to help moms stay fit and bond with their baby at the same time. The little belly dancers seem to like it. Some enjoy the movement, others just fall asleep. The Dance Academy is planning another session in November. We're going to wrap this show with more behind-the-scenes moments. You can always reach out to me by going to Amy Osher Reporter on Facebook, and you'll find all of our episodes online. Just log on to naplesnews.com. On the left-hand side, under Quick Links, select Behind the Headlines. I'm Amy Osher. We'll see you back here next week.